Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary friends, I have a very important announcement to make. It is over. Well, a part of it is over. Because you see, things weren't going so well for Liana Kerzner over at the Kickstarter comments, so of course her husband had to come in and make it worse, I guess. Because Liana was facing significant pushback in the comments, her husband Ed the Sock came in and made several comments. Now, one thing that you need to remember is what my claim was. My claim, as it is on Claim 11 on the website and on the video where I demonstrated it, is the fact that Stephen Joel Kerzner, Ed the Sock, accessed $3,000 of the Kickstarter money without authorization. And it was sufficiently without authorization, which indicated he was not a collaborator, to cause his wife to feel incensed and to essentially read him the Riot Act. So, what did Stephen Ed the Sock Kerzner say? Well, the post is a bit of a variant on the Trump tactics, but there is one thing that needs to be highlighted. Well, two things, but the first thing is really the keystone of it all. In the first of two exceedingly long posts, which Liana, were it anyone else, would classify as an explosion, Ed Stephen the Sock says, "First, yes, I moved money from the account the game money was in." Now, remember what my claim was, correct? Here is Stephen Ed the Sock Joel Kerzner verifying that what I said was true. This is very important because you need to look at what Liana Kerzner has done since I reported that irregularity. Liana Kerzner was confronted multiple times, and every single time she denied it. Liana Kerzner, has been gaslighting you all this time. And it's not the only thing she has lied about, as you can see on the website, which she claims is a dox site, but it isn't. It is a website that contains evidence of her false claims and the correcting evidence. But this is it. This is an unavoidable piece of evidence that demonstrates that I have been telling the truth and that Liana Kerzner has been desperately denying it. And that's not the only thing. This is her modus operandi. But what is especially galling, especially insulting, after this is two things, where Stephen Joel Kerzner Ed the Sock agrees and confirms that he had mental health struggles, which he used as an excuse for his actions. Several backers have already mentioned that that was no excuse. You will remember also that Liana has a tendency to use her "it is enormously galling, extremely galling, insulting, demeaning, and dehumanizing to my husband." That Stephen Joel Kerzner Ed the Sock decided that that was an acceptable exculpatory factor that should absolve him of everything, when his wife for the last 18 months has done nothing but leverage mental health stigma against my husband, endangering his well-being, and I will go into that, so that she would not have to admit all of her problems in the game, and so she would not have to accept any responsibility whatsoever, saddling all the responsibility on me and my husband, who wasn't even involved, just like Stephen Joel Kerzner wasn't involved. Liana has added him as a collaborator on Kickstarter, and he claims that he was a silent collaborator all along. This is not true, because if Stephen Joel Kerzner Ed the Sock had been a collaborator all along, Liana Kerzner would have had no reason to feel absolutely outraged and incensed at him moving money around and needing to read him the Riot Act. The timelines don't add up. The stories don't hold. Liana Kerzner and Stephen Joel Kerzner at the SOC are not reliable people. They're not honest people. And they have been lying to you about my husband and about me and about the project for 18 months in order to salvage their reputation and image. Because the actions that they have taken would inevitably tarnish that image should they come to light. And who was the target? Who was the object of opprobrium for 18 months, of dehumanization, of ridicule and humiliation? My husband, the mentally ill individual, the crazy person in the room, the person that Liana Kerzner has treated as less than human, just like she treated all of the clients who have displeased her as less than human, just like Mitchell Jura was discarded, just like Song Eriksson. This proves that I have been telling the truth. And that my husband has been telling the truth. And it is even more galling that Stephen Joel Kerzner thanks his wife for choosing not to disclose his mental health struggles when she disclosed my husband's mental health struggles on Kickstarter, on YouTube, on her server, where she shared his sexual trauma as a child to her server, where she detailed my husband being in agony and in pain and screaming. Incredibly personal, deeply vulnerable, humiliating moments paraded to her server like a circus spectacle. That is who Liana Kerzner is. That is what Asher has been surviving for the past 18 months. And he's not the only one. Today, Stephen Joel Kerzner at the SOC has proven me right. And incidentally, Stephen's paper-thin excuse that by calling me Mary Jest hasn't named me. Well, if I say Ed the Sock, you know who I'm talking about, right? Mary just happens to be my DBA. I am officially registered as Mary Jest with the Colorado Secretary of State. That is the name under which I have released all of my music forever. And that is the name under which I have done business as both a composer, musician, singer, and furry artist. So, I guess sucks to be you, Ed the Sock. But there you have it. Now you have proof that what I said was true. And this has been an 18-month campaign of defamation, character assassination, reputation ruination and spoilage, and an attack on a mentally ill individual who was inconvenient to Liana Kerzner. And that is why I say Liana Kerzner is a cruel person. I saw that in the way that she mocked my husband's father's suicide during the very ugly fight. And all she has done since that point has done nothing but demonstrate that my observation was true. And she has continued to endanger my husband. And I will go into that into the next video. I may need to push the gaslighting video until Wednesday, perhaps. But, you know, that is life, right? I think that a lot of you who have sided with Liana owe my husband an apology. It is the least you can do. Don't contact him. Post it publicly. Also, on that Tower of Babel that Stephen posted, he is essentially trying to go for gotcha, saying that how is it possible that Asher can claim that he didn't have a professional relationship with Liana Kerzner when we provided web hosting for her? Well, I'm sorry that I need to explain what an LLC is to Ed the Sock, but Novelty Factor is a limited liability company. Whatever professional relationship exists is not within Asher and Liana Kerzner, it is between Liana Kerzner and Novelty Factor. Incidentally, that relationship has been terminated. All of Liana's money has been refunded as of today, and there'll be an update on that too. All contracts are now null and void. That is how these people operate. They take something that you have said and completely strip it of any context where it makes sense, and then they try to paint it as ridiculous. It is a tactic that is very common in trolls, and in fact, it is very reminiscent of users such as Cornholier Than Thou on Kiwi farms. And I honestly wish that someone would teach those two kids to read, because yet again, Steven brought up the quote karaoke competition, and honey, it's on the website. It's been on the website since April. What are you people doing? So make of that what you will. Stephen Joel Kerzner at the SOG has just confirmed that what I have been saying now for months as true, and which his wife has been trying to deny fervently and desperately. They have engaged in disrespectful back and forth with the backers who keep trying to call for accountability and pointing out how much of this is not making any sense and isn't adding up, and pointing out the hypocrisy. And Stephen, Ed the Sock is handling them with his usual customary grace, you might say. I would not be surprised if the Kickstarter is turned away from the public and made private very soon, or the comments are deleted. In any case, they have all been archived, and for posterity they will be going up on the website as well, for tracking. But once again, it really would be in their benefit if they actually learned to read and looked at the website and the evidence posted there. Because at this point, I don't know, it's like they're inhabiting an alternate reality, and maybe, I'm going to use Liana's own language. I do believe that the primary person who is to blame is the former team lead who, instead of getting her partner the help he needs, continues to attack me and blame me while enabling really horrible behavior. These ongoing attempts to rewrite history are just malicious. And speaking of that, tomorrow I will tell you how Liana, in my opinion, has been deliberately endangering Asher's well-being. And then stick around, because part 2 of the gaslighting video, which is complete, just hasn't been released yet, will be released.